Invited me to join. I thought it would be better for us to do this seriatim instead of together, but I appreciate that and be happy to respond to any questions you have. I do want to express some concerns at the outset. I appreciate we had a long briefing and testimony from the director today, but in order for us to do our investigation in a thorough and credible way, we're going to need the FBI to fully cooperate, to be willing to tell us the length and breadth of any counterintelligence investigations they're conducting. At this point, the director was not willing to do that. There were repeated questions about the scope of any investigation they may be doing, individuals that may be the subject of any counterterrorism investigation, and the director declined to answer those questions. It was unclear whether that decision was a decision he was making on his own or a decision that he is making in consultation with the Department of Justice. But both in the Gang of Eight setting, and we had our quarterly counterintelligence briefing this week, as well as in the full committee, thus far the Bureau has not been willing to give us a full counterintelligence briefing. That can't persist. If we're going to do our job, the FBI is going to have to fully cooperate with us, and that means they can't say, we'll tell you about this, but we won't tell you about that. So we are obviously going to persist. The director will be coming back. We hope to get a different answer from the director next time we meet, because this counterintelligence investigation that we are undertaking is among the most serious that we've ever done, and we cannot represent to the American people that we're doing a thorough job if either the Department of Justice or the FBI is unwilling to tell us what indeed they've looked at, what leads they have followed, where they have found substance, and where they have not. So I'm disappointed we didn't have that briefing today, and it's going to be vital that we get the full cooperation of the FBI, not just rhetorically, but in fact that they share with us the length and the breadth of what they may be doing.
What was the rationale that Director Comey gave for not providing that information today?
Well, I don't want to go into too many specifics, but he made it very clear there were certain questions that we were asking that he would answer and others he would not. And when members asked follow-up questions, he referred to his earlier decision to decline to answer the question. Again, I hope that when we next meet with the director, he will have a different point of view. I hope the department will, because we're going to need that information, and we're better off getting that through the voluntary cooperation of the FBI than having to contemplate whether we need to subpoena the FBI.
Should there be a special prosecutor now that you're not getting this kind of information? Do you think there should be a special prosecutor?
Well, you know, I can't say this, and up until now, I wasn't sure whether there should be a special prosecutor, because that is a function of a couple things. It's a function of whether the Attorney General can be independent, and or whether there's a conflict of interest or an appearance of impropriety, and whether there's something concrete and specific enough to be investigated. I am now convinced that both of those criteria are met and that an independent prosecutor should be appointed. Certainly, the Attorney General is in no position to oversee any investigation or prosecution involving any of the counterintelligence issues concerning Russia. So I am now convinced that an independent prosecutor is necessary.
Do you agree, Mr. Nunes?
I'm sorry?
No.
We've been in a hearing all morning, and I have not had a chance to go through the testimony that Senator Sessions gave. I want to reserve judgment until I have a chance to study exactly what he said. Certainly, if he willfully misled the Senate during his confirmation, then yes, he should step down. But I want to have a chance to look more into the facts before I reach a conclusion about whether that was a willful misrepresentation.
So if the prosecutor is appointed, then what does that do to your committee's investigation?
Well, the committee investigation goes on, regardless of whether an independent prosecutor. Those are, I think, very different functions. An independent prosecutor would have the responsibility of bringing someone to justice. That is not a core part of our responsibility. Our responsibility is our national security and counterintelligence interest. Now, that may lead to referrals to the Justice Department or not, but that doesn't obviate our need to do our jobs. You know, I'm certainly very pleased that the Chair and I have reached a bipartisan agreement on the scope of our investigation. We're going to look at the hacking and the dumping of documents. We're going to look at the use of the paid media, the slick Russian propaganda campaign. We're going to look at the FBI response. We're going to look at the issue of collusion with U.S. persons, including anyone affiliated with a campaign. And we're going to look at the issue of leaks. So we have a now detailed scope of investigation that we've agreed to, and I think that's a very positive step.
Why was it necessary to ask the administration to preserve the records? Did you not trust them in any way?
Well, I think that, and this is not uncommon in any investigation, you want to make sure that the administration and the department is on notice that these are the subject of congressional investigation and that any destruction of records will be a violation of law. So I think it helps clarify if there's any ambiguity that there should be a complete preservation of evidence.
Do you have any reason to believe that they have destroyed evidence in the meantime?
I don't want to get into any of the facts of our investigation, but the request to preserve documents is made prophylactically at the very beginning of an investigation so that we don't have any issue like that come up in the future.
Are you aware of any evidence about contacts between Russian officials, people tied to the Kremlin in any way, and the Trump campaign during the election season? Are you aware of any evidence?
I'm not going to go into any of the specifics, and that would go into the specifics of the investigation. I'm not going to comment on that.
Can you say how forthcoming the FBI director was in terms of whether they do or do not have evidence of contact? And the reason I ask is the chairman says there's no evidence, but is it that the FBI didn't say whether they do or don't have evidence, so the committee doesn't have any evidence, or?
All I can say is that the director made it clear on this he would discuss and this he would not. And we can't do a complete job unless the director is willing to discuss anything that they're investigating. And I hope that that will take place. We're going to need it to take place. Otherwise, I don't know that we can represent the American people. We've really done a thorough job.
You would say you only know a fraction of what the FBI knows.
Oh, I would say at this point we know less than a fraction of what the FBI knows.
And the goal of today's meeting was to learn more about the FBI's investigation into connections between the Trump campaign and Russia.
Well, I'm not going to go into the contents of the testimony, but I can tell you the director spent about 3 to 3.5 hours with us, and on the areas he was willing to discuss, we had a very in-depth set of questions and answers, but there were very large areas that were walled off, and those walls are going to have to come down if we're going to do our job.
Is there a standard for the FBI director or any other intelligence director to withhold information when talking with the Intel committee? Like, is that normal for them? Is he just following routine procedure here?
You know, I would say that certainly there is a cultural as well as a policy framework for when individual members of Congress approach the department and want to know about investigations and when committees do. And what the department has to look at is this within the scope of the committee's responsibilities? And clearly it is. Is this in the public interest? And clearly it is. In this case, it's the subject of a bipartisan agreement. This is not an investigation that is being undertaken by only one party or the other. It's hard to imagine something of greater public interest. And more than that, I'll say, and I think the chair and I are in agreement on this, these are issues that should have been brought to the Gang of Eight at a minimum. If we're to get quarterly counterintelligence briefings, then we need the confidence of knowing that they're briefing us on the most significant issues. And at this point, I think that's very much in question. I don't think at all we've gotten the kind of quarterly briefings that we should have been getting. Not now, not while not in the summer, not in the fall, and not even to this day.
So to be clear, you learned things today that you had not previously been aware of as a member of the Gang of